religious point of view, from a Quranic point of view. It's a human responsibility, clearly. And it is quite clear that in terms of the challenge that is posed today in the world is the fact that, of course, we have a plurality of faith, and we have also the fact that some people are religious, others are secular-minded. So how do we go about this, finding a commonality to address the questions of the environment? I think that's one of the main questions that need to be tackled, and that was tackled to some extent. One of the important remarks that was made, I think, by Dr. Bakar was the fact that, in fact, this plurality of faith should not be an obstacle, because it might be possible to find commonality of values, at least among people of religious faiths. And even with secular-minded people, it might be possible to find ethical principles that could serve as a commonality for action and for the protection of the environment. I think that an important point that maybe was not what was addressed is that of how does God consciousness, how does the consciousness of God, of the one God, translate concretely into an ethical moral behavior with respect to the environment? In what practical ways, in what educational ways can this consciousness become a living reality, not only for individuals but also for societies? And in what ways does the social and political responsibility, the political leaders, the responsibility of the leaders, but also the responsibility of the individuals and the responsibility of society at large, how do they articulate, how do they relate to each other? Where do we start from? Some of the speakers intimated that we should start, of course, from the individual, from the conscience of the individual, especially if it's a believing conscience. But there's a sense of responsibility toward the Creator, toward nature, and that therefore the responsibility vis-à-vis God should translate into the responsibility vis-à-vis nature. Sheikh Al-Hajari reminded us very beautifully how, in a sense, this responsibility implies much more than the protection, but the caring for, which was a very, very nice ending in a sense. So these are a few aspects of the discussion and the remarks of the speakers. I think the main difficulty really is to find a bridge to really relate the principles, whether they are spiritual, metaphysical, religious, and moral, and the actual practicality of the caring for the environment. And I think that's the gap that is the big challenge, and several of the questions pointed to it, whether it's in the domain of finance, e-waste, economy, consumerism. How do we bridge this gap? How do we make responsibility, spiritual, religious responsibility, something concrete? And that remains a question. Some speakers hinted at the importance of education, of course, the role of the family, the role of the elite also, the role of the good examples that is set by those who are in charge. But by and large, it remains a challenge.